Hi guys, I'm Oscrix. This is a video about my Skeleton Sniper Gemling Legionnaire. It's my current character on Hardcore Trade, and it works really great. It's got great clear speed, really good boss damage. That was an 82 boss that you watched me kill there. And overall, it's actually just better than Infernalist at playing minions, Gemling is. It's tankier for cheaper, it has more damage potential, and it's just better. Yeah, it turns out. I leveled my witch all the way to 100 on Infernalist playing Skeleton Snipers. I obviously had no idea. I started the character the first day the game came out. But at this point, I know that, yeah, Gemling is a better ascendancy for playing Skeleton Snipers and probably for playing Skeleton Frost Mages as well. I'll make a video about that in the future, but yeah, I think Gemling is the superior ascendancy for minions, it turns out. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into me talking about the characters, gear, and everything like that. I'll try and be quick about this, but there's a lot to talk about. Starting off the helmet, just an energy shield base. You'd like max life on here. You definitely want +2 to minion skills. And int is nice too, because you want to get as much strength on your character, and the more int you get on your gear, the less strength you have to allocate on your passive tree. The reason why you want strength and life on this character is because you converted all to energy shield with Ghost Writhe. Ghost Writhe normally rolls 50%. This one's corrupted to be up to 61%, which I think is the maximum. And you can see if I take this off, I have 12,899 energy shield right now, 2,563 without it. This accounts for over 10,000 of my energy shield. This item is insanely broken, especially on Gemling Legionnaire. So this is the big reason why this build is much more defensive for much cheaper than Infernalist. Yeah, it's a really good item. Fireflower Amulet, this is the best defensive amulet you can wear. It gives +4 to level of all fire skills, and Skeleton Sniper is a fire skill, so it gets +4 levels from that. The installation, Dark Entries, +1 level to all chaos skills. Skeleton Sniper is also a chaos skill, so it gets +1 level from that as well. In order to counteract this line of text that says you take 100 fire damage when you ignite an enemy, you need to put Brutality on your Flame Wall, or else you'll hurt yourself every time you ignite something with Flame Wall. So put Brutality support on your Flame Wall, and you'll never take damage from this line from anything. My Scepter's pretty mediocre. You want a Rattling Scepter for sure. This one has +4 minions and Spirit. That's it. The rest of the stats are just trash. Ideally, you'd like +5 minion Spirit, and minion damage and minion attack speed. That would be the ideal one. My Trench Timber, this is just a unique that gives +3 minion skills, so a lot of damage, and it's also corrupted to have 2 sockets. I have a Soul Core of Askafa in each one, so each one gives 15 Spirit. For me, 15 Spirit is basically 1 sniper. You can also corrupt this to be +4 instead, which would be more ideal, but they're much more expensive, and there's none on Hardcore on the league I'm playing. My rings, Venter's Gambles, the most important part is the Spirit. You want also positive life and positive resist for sure, and positive rarity, although I couldn't afford positive rarity. There's actually like none that are good on Hardcore Trade at all, so I have to wear negative rarity ones, which is kind of sad. I lose rarity wearing these, but it's alright. All I care about really is making my character more powerful, and the most important part is to get Spirit, life, and resistances. These 2 rings get multiplied by Ingenuity. This is the strongest belt in the game, pretty much. And this gives you more Spirit. So between the Venter's Gambles and the Ingenuity multiplying the Spirit and the life and the resists too, and the negative rarity too, it makes negative rarity worse, unfortunately. But you get more Spirit from all 3 of these items. That means more snipers. My gloves, they're just energy shield gloves with a bunch of resist and life on there. You could also get int, which would be more strength as a suffix if you have room in your gear for that. And then lastly, on my character, Bones of Uller, these boots give your snipers reduced reservation, which makes them cost a lot less. The downside of wearing these is they have no movement speed at all, so you walk very, very slowly. That downside is really hard to negate, because you can't really get movement speed anywhere, but Gemling Legionnaire gets to negate it pretty well, and I'll talk about that right after I pull up the passive tree. So then also I have a Thawing Charm for freezing, and then my Flask for mana recovery. It's just increased amount recovered, reduced charges per use is what I have on there. Okay, so solving Bones of Uller is, how you do that is with Blink. Normally Blink is like a 3-second cooldown, but on this character, it's like a 3.5-second cooldown, but on this character it's like a 2-second cooldown, slightly less than that most of the time. And the reason why is because on the passive tree, you get to path through cooldown recovery here, and then you get to get more cooldown recovery here as well. And if you want more, you can also travel over here and get this. I decided not to for my character, but you could get more and go even faster. And that makes your blink a lot quicker, and that way, instead of having to walk around everywhere, you can just blink. Every 2 seconds, you get a blink forward, which is pretty good movement, in my opinion, as long as you don't screw it up and get caught on stuff. And then, if you want to move even faster, you can wear Crest of Ardura in your weapon swap, and then at this point, your blink is 1 second cooldown. So now you're able to move around much, much faster than without it. And to me, this is enough mobility to play the game and wear Bones of Ulur at the same time. So getting Bones of Ulur on your character is a huge damage increase, and it's definitely worth all the hassle. Let's start off with the Ascendancy. You get 10 quality from this and 2 from each travel node, so that's 14%. That ends up meaning that your Skeleton Snipers, if I could press the right key, get 7% reduced reservation on top of their normal 10. That's a lot, so they cost a lot less. You get more. Effectively, this is just like getting more Spirit. The quality is just like getting more Spirit for Skeleton Snipers, and Frost Mages too, if you played that. Level of all skills. This is a really amazing damage modifier for Skeleton Snipers. It also buffs all of your other skills too, so you get more damage incidentally from all your other skills and stuff like that too. And then the other nodes are for the attribute ones. This one makes it so you can have like 200 strength, and then your int gems still work with 200 strength. You don't actually need int for them to work. And then the last one gives you double the bonus from your attributes. Most importantly, strength. The more life you get from strength, the more energy shield is converted with Ghost Drive, the more flat energy shield you get on your character. So you want to stack as much strength as you possibly can on this character. It's not really something you're going to go out of your way to get, but it's something that you want to get incidentally on the tree, maybe on your gear, and things like that. So let's go over the pathing here. You path all the way down here, take the CDR, go down here. There's a nice damage wheel for minions here. There's another cooldown reduction wheel here. And then first off, the Adorned. So this is an Adorned build in the end game. You don't need an Adorned to play this build, but in the end game, ideally you'd have like an 80% plus Adorned. I only have 62, so this is much worse than you could have. And then you have a bunch of magic jewels, because this tree gets tons of jewels. So here's an example of one that you could have. This one's rolled bad, but ideally you would have 20% increased energy shield and 4% attack speed for minions. And then ideally it would also be corrupted to have strength as the implicit, so that way you get even more energy shield from the strength being multiplied and all that. So you path down here, you take the strength nodes. Here's another example, int, ES, minion attack speed. Int is also good because you need int to wear your energy shield gear in the first place, and you need int to equip your scepter. So every point of int you get from a place that's not on the passive tree, you can take out of the passive tree attributes, so it's kind of like more strength. So you path up here, then you get another little minion damage wheel, and then here's a Grand Spectrum. So Grand Spectrum, the unique jewel, each one of these gives you 2% per spirit, 2% increased spirit per socketed Grand Spectrum. You can have a maximum of 3 of them. When you have 3 of them, each of them gives you 6%. That's how this item works. So you get an 18% increase total. For my character, that's the equivalent of like 7 snipers, so this is a lot of damage for 3 jewel sockets. You could also run more magic jewels with energy shield and attack speed, I guess, but 7 snipers is a lot of damage. Then you path up here, get another jewel socket, there's another Grand Spectrum. Path up here, all of these nodes are strength. Get another Grand Spectrum. Keep pathing, more strength nodes, and there's another example. So this is what you'd like to have. This one's rolled bad, but this one has strength. So yeah, ideally it would be like 10 strength, 20% ES, and 4% attack speed. Then you got this minion damage wheel. All these points are damage, except for this one's resistances. You path up here, get another jewel socket for another Adorned jewel. If you don't have Adorned, you just want a rare jewel with energy shield and attack speed, and it would be great if you get minion damage too. Yeah, just a rare jewel would be great too. Then you come down here. That's what I was using for most of the run so far. Get more strength, come over here, get more resistances and max resist for the minions. Some attack and cast speed, and minions revive 25% faster. Between this node for resist, this node for resist, and this wheel for resist, this caps your minions resist, which makes them a lot tankier. Then you path through here, get some ES. There's a bunch of different ES notables, one for like stun threshold. Then up here there's a damage node. This one's really good. It gives 8% fizz as extra chaos, which is a ton of flat damage. And then I also take this 2-point node for crit chance and crit bonus, but this basically does nothing for the character. The only reason I take these 2 nodes right here, you wouldn't take them if you don't have this, is because I have Against the Darkness in this slot. So this Against the Darkness gives, most importantly, 12 spirit per notable, and then it also gives 4% increased strength per notable, which is the best additional one. But the most important thing that you get on your Against the Darkness is spirit per notable. That's the one, spirit per notable. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notables here that you get spirit from, and that gives you up to 60 spirit total from this wheel right here. So 60 spirit for 1 jewel, that's pretty insane. Very good value. You come up here, you take damage, you get reduced reservation of your minions, makes them cost less, you get more minions, equals more damage. You get energy shield from this wheel, travel over here, get another jewel socket, same difference, you know, another adorned jewel like I talked about earlier. Here's the minion resist wheel. This helps your minions not die to elemental damage in maps and boss content. Here's more ints that you can get for very cheap that effectively means that you can have more strength on the tree. More energy shield here. And then you path down here, get 1 more jewel socket, and you get Chaos Inoculation. Chaos Inoculation makes you immune to chaos damage. It's kind of a no-brainer for this build. It's a lot of defense for 1 point, and you already want to just path around and get this yes anyways, so you like to take this jewel socket. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. So that's all of the gear and all of the talents. Let's go over the skills real quick. Skeleton Warrior, this is the free Skeleton Warriors from your Rattling Scepter. Culling Strike, Maim, Blind, those are all utility. I also have Withering Touch. That's a small, tiny damage multiplier for this thing that gives you Fizz's extra chaos. That's why I have it in there. Tiny damage multiplier. The Skeleton Snipers, right now, Martial Tempo, Feeding Frenzy, Heft, Fork, and Scattershot. Fork and Scattershot makes their range and ability to clear really insane. Before you have all of the supports and like a level 28 or 9 total sniper, you're going to have to lean into the gas arrow. I leveled this character from 1 to 90 just using gas arrow. So instead of these supports, you take out Fork, you take out Martial Tempo, and you keep Scattershot, Heft, Feeding Frenzy, Fire Infusion, stuff like that. And you cast Flame Wall on the target so it's ignited, and then you cast the gas arrow, and the gas arrow explodes. It does a ton of damage. You can level through the whole campaign level 1 through the campaign using just the gas arrow in this combination with Flame Wall and Summon Raging Spirits, and that'll clear the campaign really easily. From my experience, I did it on hardcore and it went really well. So vulnerability. Vulnerability is a really nice curse that helps you ignore armor on targets. The snipers are primarily physical, so this is the highest damage curse you can use. I mostly use this in Breach, so Hex Bloom helps it spread throughout the Breach and everything like that. Magnified Effect and Spell Cascade makes the AoE larger, so that way you actually can get more targets underneath it. So yeah, it's really good for clearing. You can also cast against bosses as well to initially ignore their armor. Just a good all-around thing. Flame Wall, this firstly summons Raging Spirits when you cast it. Secondly, when your snipers shoot through it, they get 101 to 144 flat fire damage. That's a ton of flat fire damage. That's how much it gives currently. I could get 1 or 2 more levels on this too. So yeah, each level it gets more flat damage. And it actually also gets +4 levels from your Fire Flower Amulet, so that's even more damage from that amulet that your snipers get from shooting through this. Like I said earlier, it has to have Brutality on it, so that way you don't hurt yourself with Fire Flower. I also have Fortress, so it's a circle, Inspiration, so it costs less, and Mobility, so you move a little bit faster while you're casting it. I have Winter. I only cast this against bosses. This applies a debuff called Critical Weakness, which gives up to 10% flat crit for your minions against the target. So Unleash, so it casts more. Elemental Focus, so you don't ignite and don't hurt yourself with Fire Flower, because this could ignite if it goes through the Flame Wall. And Deceleration, so it travels slower, so that way it sticks around hitting the boss for longer. Pain Offering, this is a ton of damage for you. A ton of damage. So normally it gives you 53% more and 30% attack speed. With the supports, Ablation gives 30% increased buff effect for sacrificing 15% of your life. Since you only have 1 life, 15% gets rounded down to 0, so this is completely free. Dance Macabre is the same thing, except it gives you 30% increased buff effect, but you have to sacrifice 2 guys instead of 1, which is totally worth it. So this is 60% increased buff effect. That turns the 53% more damage into like 85% more damage, and the 30% attack speed into like 48. So 85% more damage is like the equivalent of like nearly 4 support gems worth of more damage. And 48% increased attack speed is a ton. You want to make sure this thing is up at all times when you're mapping, and definitely when you're bossing. Persistence makes it last longer so you don't have to cast it as much. And then Font of Rage makes it so everything that stands next to it gains rage. If I cast it here, you can see my rage is ticking up, and your minions actually are also gaining rage too. And for each rage they have, they get 1% more attack damage. So this is the equivalent of another support and a half, or a really good support by itself of damage. And you can see at this point now it's at 30. If you let it fall off though, it deteriorates really quickly. So you have to hold the button down if you want it to be recast as soon as the pain offering goes up, like this, and then you'll keep your rage up. But I'll let it fall off here, and you can see how quickly the rage falls off when it goes away. It'll fall off right about now. And you can see they almost immediately lose all the rage they gained over the last couple seconds. So you really have to keep it up to keep that rage buff. Moving on to Raging Spirits. These get cast when you cast the Flame Wall, they appear. And they're just here to break armor. That's their purpose for this build. So Splinter to break armor, Demolisher to break more armor, Heavy Swing to do more physical damage to break more armor. And I also have Fire Mastery on them. You could also, if you had one more support gem for them, I don't right now yet. But you could also have Envenom and Corrosion to break even more armor. Grim Feast, this is broken as hell with all energy shield builds, especially minions. If you don't know what this does, basically when you kill monsters or your minions die, they have a 50% chance to leave a remnant on the ground, which is this kind of like white spirit orb looking thing. When you pick it up, you get 1000 energy shield, and you overflow your energy shield, which effectively just means that you can double your energy shield. Right now I have 12,899 ES, or energy shield. After Grim Feast, it goes up to like 25,000, so it's just absurdly broken for 30 spirit. Blink, this is the thing I was talking about earlier that lets you move around quickly. Ingenuity makes it a faster cooldown. Arcane Tempo makes the animation for it faster, so you blink around a lot more efficiently with that on, basically. And then lastly, Skeletal Cleric. I have one of these guys. This is really good for healing your minions that stand on burning ground and have incidental damage over times on them and stuff like that. Having one of them is really nice. And I support it with Minion Mastery, so it's a little bit better at everything it does and has more health. Last Gasp is the most important one, because that way they're going to die, and the more time it's up, the better. Last Gasp makes it have a 4-second uptime and like a 2-second downtime, so that means that this is going to be up a lot more than without Last Gasp. And then also Elemental Army, because there's not really anything good I can put on there. Other than that, that's kind of basically all the good supports you can put on. If I had one more support for a couple of these things, Flame Wall, I might put on Spell Cascade so it has more coverage. Eye of Winter, it really doesn't need more. Pain Offering, you can put on Meat Shield so it's more tanky. And Raging Spirits, I'd probably put on Envenom and Corrosion, I think. But yeah, that's basically how my character is right now. I think I covered everything. I know I've been talking for a long time, but there's a lot to cover, right? So thanks for watching, guys. Sorry if I talked your ear off. If you have any more questions about the character, you want to ask specific questions about what to gear, how to level, stuff like that, come over to my Twitch. I'm streaming every single day on my Twitch, so come on over and ask me questions. I love answering questions about the build. Yeah, just come by and ask me in person. If you leave a YouTube comment, I'm probably not going to get to it because I don't check that very often, but I'm on my Twitch stream a lot, so come over to my Twitch stream and ask me at twitch.tv/Oscrix. I'm sure it's on the screen right now, too. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful day. Adios!